But not only that, it also reduces the risk of all-cause mortality. Now, a study here that I found had recorded a sauna temperature range of 80 to 100 degrees Celsius. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our latest and greatest conversation where we will be talking about the benefits of sauna, aka thermotherapy. We're going to be diving deep into detail here, just like all of our episodes. We only had 2 so far, but the future ones will be in detail as well. And saunas have been around for centuries and their effects are truly remarkable. You can look back at the Roman Empire, the Ottoman Empire. I mean, I'm not really a historian, but I'm pretty sure other empires had that as well. Now, before we jump into the fun stuff, I do want to let you know, of course, that the papers that I will be quoting off and reading off of are all linked down in the description below. Please don't forget to subscribe. Makes my day. The precautions of using a sauna include pregnancy, if you are lactating, if you've had a recent heart attack, if you are drunk, do not go into the sauna. And I've seen this before, but do not drink in the sauna. Don't do that. So whether it's a classic sauna, which is the Finnish sauna, an infrared sauna, a steam room, wearing 100 layers of clothing, or even sitting where I'm sitting right now, where it's pretty hot, the tool is not as important as you'd think, except for the infrared sauna, where there is a tiny little additional benefit that we'll get into the video later on. So from head to toe, we shall go. So let's start off with our psychological state and our well-being. So what does the sauna actually do here? The sauna not only improves our mood, but it also improves our capacity to feel good. Now, we all know or heard about endorphins. And endorphins, they get released under stressful situations. So you can look at our runner friends where they experience a runner's high. But, it's not all, blue skies and green grass, because endorphins can have negative effects. Now, our bodies can produce something called dynorphins in response to stress. Now, dynorphins are associated with the feeling of agitation, nervousness, restlessness, being uncomfortable. And again, dynorphins are released under stress. So in this situation, they'd be released in the sauna. And dynorphins sort of play a role in that feeling where you want to just get out of the sauna, where you feel like, whoa, it's too much for me. I got to get out. Now, I should also add a quick note here. If the sauna is too hot, you should definitely leave. I don't want you thinking like, oh, there's going to be some positive effect that's going to... No. If you cannot tolerate it, please leave. So again, dynorphins trigger pathways associated with stress, anger, and uncomfortness. Okay, so why would you want all this negativity in all this positivity, right? You're probably thinking that. Well, it turns out that there's a domino effect, or like a chain lightning effect, let's say, where throughout this whole, scenario of you feeling uncomfortable, painful, under stress, there will come a time where your body will start to produce positive effects. And again, this comes back to that runner's high, right? So when a person is running for a while, they gotta start getting cramps, they want to give up. But then if they just keep pushing, they get this euphoric feeling, this feeling that they can keep going. And it's the same situation here. So down the line of stress and pain, you will eventually feel calm, euphoric, and one with the sauna. Let's dive into what I think is the most important part of our little chit chat here, the cardiovascular system. Studies have found that adding a sauna routine to your life can greatly reduce your risk of having a cardiovascular event. But not only that, it also reduces the risk of all-cause mortality. Now, a study here that I found had recorded a sauna temperature range of 80 to 100 degrees Celsius. Now, for anyone that's actually, been in a sauna with a functional thermometer, you would know that 80 to 100 degrees Celsius is pretty hard to tolerate. You'd need a decent amount of thermoadaptability and tolerance to withstand those temperatures, but nevertheless, for the sake of science, let's keep going on. So they found that about 2 to 3 times per week had a 27% reduced chance of having a cardiovascular event. They also found that if you go to the sauna 4 to 7 times per week for about 5 to 30 minutes, you'd have an unbelievable 50% reduced chance of having a cardiovascular event. Now, these numbers are all crazy. The temperature, the amount that you'd need to be in the sauna, which is 5 to 30 minutes, but also the odds that are being reduced here. Pretty interesting stuff. Our next runner-up is hormones. Now, specifically, let's talk about cortisol and growth hormone. Now, they found that in a structured test of 4 sessions where they went 12 minutes each at 90 to 91 degrees Celsius, and then into cool water. They didn't say cold, they said cool water in the paper for 6 minutes, right? So 12 minutes in, okay, then out for 6 minutes, and then again, they did that 4 times. Now, before, during, and after, they measured testosterone, prolactin, DHEA, which is dehydroepiandrosterone, the father or mother of sex hormone like testosterone. They also measured cortisol. Now, the significant change was found in cortisol, right? So, quick little side note here that I want to add in is that early morning cortisol is actually beneficial. It will help you function in the morning. You need early morning cortisol. But what you don't need is late night cortisol. Now, late night cortisol is directly linked to depression. And so why am I mentioning this? Well, timing your sauna sessions are crucial to balancing out the positives versus negatives. Now, because the study said that sauna use will reduce your levels of cortisol, you should not use a sauna early in the morning because, again, you need that cortisol to function, to help you function in the first few hours of waking up. But you don't need cortisol at night. You shouldn't. It's not good for you. So timing your sauna session is important here. So taking a sauna session in the evening or at night is going to be much more healthy for you than taking it in the morning. Now, our next hormone is growth hormone. So again, as we mentioned in our previous video, the big 3-0, the age 30 is a bit intimidating because of the change in testosterone and growth hormone. But again, there's a whole lot of changes, but let's just stick to this for simplicity. But growth hormone begins to decrease at the level at the age of 30. Now, there are various ways to stimulate growth hormone release and to increase your baseline level of growth hormone. But in this case, this study was worked on both men and women. The protocol used here was 30 minutes exposure to 80 degrees Celsius. Again, what are these numbers? A little cool down break and back in again for 30 minutes. And they did that for 4 times, meaning a total of 2 hours, which is frankly insane. But the results don't lie. They measured a list of hormones including thyroid hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, follicular stimulating hormone, FSH, luteinizing hormone. They measured prolactin and growth hormone. Now, in the subjects that did these 2-hour sessions per week, they found that in the first day, there was a 16-fold increase in your growth hormone levels. 16. Now, unfortunately, all good things come to an end because they found that by the end of the week, the growth hormone level increased by only 2-fold, which is still relatively good, right? I mean, it's not the worst, right? You're still increasing it. So what they're trying to say is that, it's going to increase either way, but in the beginning, the level of increase is much higher than by the end of the week. And I'm sure that over time, you're going to get some sort of adaptability and the way that your body sort of deals with these changes. You're not going to have consistent growth hormone increases, but I think that if you use it for a certain amount of time, it can boost it. Now, our fifth major point or benefit really about having a sauna routine in your life has to do with your sleep. And so it does this by improving your sleep quality through the circadian shifts in temperature. So roughly every morning, roughly 2 hours before you wake up, your body is at its lowest temperature, and that's called temperature minimum. Very, very scientific, I know. And so when you wake up, your body temperature from temperature minimum starts to increase, right? It starts to increase throughout the day. What's following it here? Cortisol, right? And so throughout the day, your temperature starts to go up and your cortisol levels start to go up. And then there's a crash, right? Where your temperature and your cortisol levels begin to decrease until the evening and until night, until you go to bed. Now, I want you to remember that our bodies are extremely well at adapting, right? They're very good at it. So what happens here is if the temperature outside is cold, your inside is hot. Your core body temperature will be hot. And if outside is hot, inside will be cold. So this is a balancing mechanism that your body will do. My point here is that using a sauna during the evening or nighttime can actually reduce your core body temperature. And if you have a cooler body temperature, you get to sleep more easily, you get to sleep earlier, right? So again, we talked about how outside hot, inside cold, right? So this is how the sauna can affect your core body temperature and the circadian shift in your temperatures. Now remember in the beginning how we talked about how the infrared sauna can have a little tiny additional benefit? Well, it comes into play here. The infrared sauna has shown to have a potential to boost your level of melatonin. And what is melatonin? Your sleep hormone. Now, for our sixth major benefit of adding a sauna routine to your life, we will not dive into the mechanisms here, but I will give you the results. A Japanese study and a completely separate Dutch study have shown that patients with rheumatological diseases such as arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, they had a reduced level of pain and stiffness. And patients with even fibromyalgia showed decreased levels of pain. And if you are a patient or even the practitioner that's dealing with fibromyalgia, you would know that it's a very frustrating and very hard to deal with disease. And so, anything that could benefit you as the patient would be it's very exciting. And I hope that, throughout the years to come, we do find a better course of treatment for fibromyalgia, and especially here through thermotherapy, because it does look promising. Our seventh benefit of adding a sauna routine to your life has to do with fat loss and metabolism. And so we have a study here that shows that 57 minutes of weekly sauna exposure with 11 minutes of weekly cold exposure can improve metabolism and fat loss. Now, the way it does that is by increasing brown fat tissue, okay? And so we have three different types of fat tissue. We have white fat, we have beige fat, and we have brown fat. Let's take a little side quest here and discuss what that means. White fat is found everywhere in your body. It's what makes you fat, basically. You'll find it around anywhere. And it's not active, it can't use thermogenesis to produce energy. However, brown fat does that. Brown fat is found in certain areas, like around your neck, around your thorax, around your spine. Brown fat can use thermogenesis to provide energy when needed. And then we have beige fat. Now, beige fat is like white fat, it's the middle child here. It can produce energy through thermogenesis if needed. In the worst case scenarios, it can do that as well. So this is the difference between white, beige, and brown, is that brown is always ready to go, it's always functioning. Beige can function if need be, and white is extremely lazy and decides to just be fat. Now, there have been experiments done on humans and mice where they use local heat therapy or local hyperthermia, and what they do is they get a particular part of the body surface and they apply 41 degrees Celsius with their special technology. This does not mean that you can sit at home and toast your skin, because that's not going to happen. But what they did was that they found that through using this method, they could convert the white fat in that particular area into beige fat. And because beige fat is metabolically active and it uses thermogenesis, in theory, it can help with fat loss. Now, this study was released in 2022 and it is one of its kind. So I do recommend that we give it some more time to branch out into the scientific community so they can do their little thing. My final addition to the topic of metabolism and fat loss in conjunction with heat and local heat therapy was that there is a very unfortunate phenomena where patients that have burnt themselves severely have a greater amount of body metabolism and an increased level of fat loss, and that can last for years. Now, before we close this video out, I want to give you a little fun fact here. So, what can you do if you're feeling very hot or very cold? Now, in our bodies, we have areas called glabrous skin areas. Now, in these areas, between arteries and veins, there are no capillaries, which means that there's less surface area, which means the blood flow is much more effective. There is a greater amount of transportation or flow of blood. So let's assume a scenario where a person is hyperthermic, right? So they're having a fever. Now, we know throughout history that you put a towel, a cold, wet towel on the forehead. And there is a reason why. It's because one of the areas of the glabrous skin is here on the forehead. We have glabrous skin areas as well in our palms of our hands, and we have them at the soles of our feet. And this applies as well if you're hypothermic. If you're feeling very cold, you can apply hot or heat to those areas, and you'll find a rapid or more quick change of temperature. Now, in summary, saunas can promote hydration because you're sweating, you're thirsty, you drink water, very good. Saunas can detoxify you through sweating. Saunas can improve your sleep, they can improve your mood and well-being. Saunas can decrease pain, they can promote muscle recovery, they can promote fat loss, improve metabolism, increase growth hormone, reduce cortisol, reduce all mortality cause, reduce risk of cardiovascular events. Just an incredible thing that I think is very underrated right now in society. So thank you for watching today on our benefits of using a sauna or adding a sauna to your routine. If you did enjoy, you can support me by liking, subscribing, and checking out my other social media platforms down in the description below. Please use the comments to ask, add, argue, say hello. You've been watching Dr. Attilla. Stay safe, practice health, and say yes to saunas.